If you look at your life and see half-finished ideas everywhere, a skill you were obsessed with last year, another one you're deep into right now, and a quiet pile of things you swear you'll return to someday, you probably carry a specific kind of shame. Not the loud kind that announces itself. The quiet kind. The kind that sits in your chest when someone asks what you do, and you stumble through an answer that sounds like a Wikipedia page written by someone having an identity crisis. The kind that makes you wonder, late at night, scrolling through someone else's carefully curated success story, why you can't just pick one thing and stick to it like a normal person. People call you inconsistent, unfocused, chaotic, a jack of all trades, master of none, and they don't say it like a compliment. Your family asks when you're going to settle down into something real. Your friends stop asking about your latest project because they've learned it'll be different next month. And eventually, you start believing them. You start thinking something is fundamentally wrong with you. That you lack discipline. That you're commitment phobic. That you're running from something, or worse, that you're just lazy, dressing up your inability to finish anything in the language of exploration and growth. But here's what psychology actually says about this. This isn't a lack of discipline. It's adaptation. Your brain isn't broken, it's scanning. And you live in a world that changes too fast for deep specialization to be safe, and somewhere deep in your nervous system, you know it. Let me explain what I mean. For most of the last century, success rewarded people who dug one hole very deep. You picked a profession at 20. You climbed that ladder until 65. Same rules, same game, same industry, same identity. The world moved slowly enough that you could plant yourself in one spot and let expertise compound over decades. Doctors stayed doctors. Accountants stayed accountants. You learned one set of rules, one system, one way of seeing the world, and that was enough. But that world is gone. And I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean the economic and technological conditions that made lifelong specialization a safe bet have fundamentally dissolved. Today, the rules change constantly. Industries disappear while you're still getting good at them. Skills expire faster than food in your fridge. Titles that used to mean security mean nothing overnight. The half-life of a learned skill used to be 30 years. Now it's less than 5 in most fields. In environments like this, specialists are fragile. They're optimized for a world that no longer exists. They're incredible at one thing, until that one thing becomes obsolete, and then they're stranded. So instead of committing early to a single identity, your mind does something quietly intelligent. It explores. 1 year you're obsessed with graphic design. Then psychology. Then fitness. Then business strategy. Then philosophy. Then music production. Then urban planning. To outsiders, it looks like confusion. Like you can't make up your mind. Like you're commitment phobic, or ADD, or just haven't found your passion yet. But what you're actually doing, whether you realize it or not, is collecting patterns across different domains. You're building a library of mental models. You're learning different languages for solving problems. You're training your brain to see the world from multiple angles. This is called far transfer in cognitive psychology. Most people solve problems using tools they've already mastered, within the field they've already committed to. You solve problems by importing ideas from places that don't seem related at all. That's why you see connections others miss. That's why people come to you when they're stuck, even if you're not the expert in their specific field. That's why you feel like an impostor in every room you enter. Because you're never the single best person at the one narrow thing that room was built around. But your value isn't depth alone. It's synthesis. It's the ability to stand at the intersection of multiple worlds and translate between them. And this is where the anxiety creeps in. Because you compare yourself to people your age who chose one path at 22 and climbed it straight up. They have the title, the salary, the LinkedIn profile that makes sense in 3 words. Meanwhile, you feel like you're still moving sideways. Still experimenting. Still pivoting. Still explaining yourself. And the voice in your head says, by now, shouldn't I have figured this out? But here's the problem. You're measuring yourself with the wrong shape. You're trying to fit into a model that was designed for a different era, for a different kind of economy, for a different kind of life. The traditional model says you're supposed to be T-shaped. One deep vertical bar of expertise, with a shallow horizontal bar of general knowledge. But you're not T-shaped. You're M-shaped. Multiple pillars of depth, built one at a time, connected by curiosity and the ability to move between them. The mistake isn't that you explore multiple things. The mistake is trying to build all of them at once. That's what leads to burnout. To half-finished projects. To the guilt of having 6 tabs open in your brain at all times. The people who thrive with this wiring, the polymaths, the modern Renaissance souls, the people who've turned their range into power, they don't try to do everything simultaneously. They live in seasons. One season is for mastery. You go deep. You get obsessed. You build one pillar until it's solid. Another season is for income. You leverage what you've already built and monetize it, even if it's not your current obsession. Another season is for meaning. For the thing that doesn't pay well but fills you up. For the creative project. For the weird experiment. And nothing is wasted. What looks like quitting to someone else was actually you finishing a phase. You didn't abandon that skill, you absorbed it. It's now part of your operating system, even if you're not actively using it. Every detour you took, every rabbit hole you went down, every obsession that faded, you integrated something from it. And one day, those seemingly unrelated pieces click together in a way that creates something nobody else could have made. And here's the final part most people never realize. In nature, redundancy is strength. Systems survive not because they're optimized for one condition, but because they have backups. Forests don't rely on one species of tree. Immune systems don't have one type of cell. Resilient ecosystems are diverse. Your many skills are your redundancy. If one career path collapses, you pivot. If one industry dies, you adapt. If one identity stops serving you, you have others to fall back on. You're not protected by one narrow expertise. You're protected by range. And in a world that punishes rigidity and rewards adaptability, that might be the most valuable thing you could possibly have. So stop apologizing for your unfinished projects. They weren't failures. They were training. Stop feeling guilty for not having one clear answer when someone asks what you do. You're not supposed to fit into a box that was designed for a world that no longer exists. Stop comparing your crooked, winding path to someone else's straight line. They're playing a different game. And that's okay. Both can win. You were never meant to be just one thing. You were built to connect worlds most people never see. To stand in the spaces between disciplines and find insights that specialists miss. To adapt when others can't. To translate between languages that don't usually speak to each other. The shame you feel isn't evidence that you're broken. It's evidence that you're holding yourself to a standard that was never designed for people like you. And when you finally let that standard go, when you stop trying to be T-shaped and embrace being M-shaped, everything changes. You stop apologizing. You start integrating. You realize that every season of obsession was preparation for something you couldn't have predicted. And you become the person who sees what's coming before others do, because you've trained yourself to think in patterns that cross borders. So if this finally put the pieces together for you. If you've been carrying this quiet shame and you finally feel seen, drop a heart in the comments. Because you're not alone. And you're not broken. You're just early to a world that's finally catching up to the way your mind has always worked.